So where do we go from here? Last month, in a sermon that Reverend Michael gave on immigration and about this trip, he said, "We will return from Guatemala with a commitment to use what we learned to build better bridges of understanding with immigrants to work for effective reform." And we, the travelers, did. We made personal commitments to take action and to share what we've witnessed and learned. We hope you will join us and identify additional ways to educate ourselves on the issues, to be in solidarity with immigrants and refugees, and to work to change our broken immigration system. So here are some of our ideas. First, we're going to share our stories and decorate tables for the Guatemala Human Rights Commission fundraiser that we are hosting here at the church on December 12th. We're going to strengthen our connections with the local Guatemalan community. We're going to use our videos and photos to tell Mayan stories. We're going to visit the detention center in Farmville, Virginia. Offer courses and study groups and educate ourselves on the issues. We will submit a workshop application about our trip for the 2012 General Assembly to be held in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to collaborate with the metro area UUs for social justice to increase engagement on immigration issues, and find speakers to discuss the impact of our government's foreign policies that directly affect the quality of life in poor rural communities. Also, we're calling the White House to urge approval of temporary protected status for Guatemala as a result of the natural disasters which have killed many, wiped out roads, and damaged crops. Also, work on the problem of Governor McDonald's directive to the DMV to not allow the use of the Department of Homeland Security's issued employment authorization card for obtaining a driver's license. And attend congressional and Virginia lobby days. In fact, on January 18th, there will be an immigration rights lobby day in Richmond, and we plan on going. In addition to all of this, that the travelers are going to do, Reverend Carlton is holding a book discussion in community forums throughout the year on immigration. The next public forum is on November 30th, and we're going to be discussing the impact of current immigration laws and policies and organize next steps. In June, we're planning the biggest picnic that Arlington has ever seen. And we're going to honor and celebrate Arlington immigrants and our immigrant ancestry. We should also all recognize the work that is already being done in the church. Our more than 10-year-old English for Speakers of Other Language program, the Buckingham Outreach Committee, the work of the Scholarship for Guatemalan Mayan Youth, and our Guatemala Accompanier program. There will be many opportunities to become involved in the months ahead for all ages. This is just the beginning. So I hope you join us in Fellowship Hall. We'd love to talk to you and tell you more stories. Come see our trip slideshow, pick up talking points so you can call the White House about temporary protected status, and sign up to help and share your ideas about what we do next. Last night, I thought I was done with my presentation, and I was reading UU World, and there was something in that Peter Morales, our president of the UU Association, said that I wanted to share. He said, "We UUs have always been a faith that seeks to bring healing to a broken world. We heal the world and grow our souls when we join hands and take action. Because we are a justice-oriented nature of our liberal theology, I think we are called to this struggle for immigrant and refugee rights, and to view immigration as both a legal issue, but more importantly, a moral issue."
Thank you all for your very moving statements. As you can tell from what everyone has shared with you, this was a challenging trip, both physically and Martin, who is the director of the Guatemala Human Rights Commission here in Washington, D.C. And Paul turned to Amanda and he said, "How can you do this to us?" And what she had done was open our eyes, which was a great gift in a way, but a great challenge in another way. She had opened our eyes to the reality of what's going on in Guatemala, what's going on in our own country in terms of immigration, and using that as a lens to see what's going on in the rest of the world as well. Now, this is the third delegation we've sent to Guatemala in the last few years. The first two exploring the genocide against the Mayans in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, when approximately 240,000 human beings, most of them innocent civilians and indigenous Mayans, were slaughtered by the military. Now, I'm deeply ashamed, and I said this in the American Embassy, I'm deeply ashamed that this horrible atrocity was aided and abetted by our own government. I told our delegation at the beginning of the trip that this was no tourist trip, that our task was to be witnesses for our congregation and our community, witnesses to the terrible injustices that have been perpetrated in Guatemala, but also witnesses to the courage and indomitable spirit of the Mayan people. The purpose of this visit was to study the push factors of migration and immigration, and we learned much, as you've heard. And we have committed as a group to do all that we can to support immigrants in our community and to change the inhumane immigration laws in our country. And I ask you to stand with us in this struggle, to join us in the spirit that many of us joined the civil rights movement, because this is about civil rights, it's about human rights, and it is about what is right. I believe that together we can make a difference, beginning in our community where many immigrants, our very neighbors, live in fear, shame, and deprivation. Jacobina told you about the kite festival we took part in on All Saints Day. And the image that I'll never forget on All Saints Day was going through the cemetery and seeing these small children standing on the top of tombs, flying these bright, beautiful kites up in the sky. It was just amazing. What a symbol that is, these young children, the future of Guatemala, standing on the graves of the deadly past, and yet they were laughing and raising their eyes to the sky, sending their messages to those who would never be seen again. At that moment, I felt that we were their kites. We are the hope for those voiceless and powerless people, hope that we will take their messages of heartbreak and injustice, of tenacity and courage back with us so that all will know of their struggle and their humanity. So, do you know what the title of the sermon, my homily, means? That you saw in the order of service. See if I can get the pronunciation. I may need some help on this. No Olvidaremos. No, Olvidaremos. Olvidaremos. Is that right? Anybody know what it means? We will not forget. We will not forget. The meaning of those words is that we will not forget the evil perpetrated against the Mayan people. We will not forget that we are their witnesses, their accompaniers, their voice, their messengers. And we will not forget their hopes and their courage. Do I hear an amen? Amen. Amen. Second service, maybe I'll get that. And I'm just Spanish. Anyway, this month We are sharing our plate with organizations who are helping to alleviate hunger in our community, including Alive and ASPAN and AFAN. So we are asking you to share your generosity with these groups by, we're going to be sharing all the cash from the offering with these groups, but also you can write a check, designate on the check, share the plate, or designate on the check if it's a pledge, so we can tell the difference. But I hope you will open your hearts in generosity to give to both of these good causes. Let the offering now be received.